You can also kind of do this if you have a decent supply of bombs. You can kind of shoot bombs over to an item or push them. Of course, you can also try to almost blow yourself up with them too. But you can move the boxes out of these spike areas and end up getting something. Well, alright, so now that's, I kind of like thought about just blowing it off, and then, well, I forgot you can also blow those items out. And my speed, my incompetence, I don't know what it was, I just happened to step on the spikes anyway. Brilliant. I know, but yeah, I think at this point I went over to, oh yeah, I didn't have enough hearts to actually enter the combat. The Hangman is kind of a useless one. It lets you, it essentially gives you flight for a room. Not nearly as useful as some other options, but I figured I might as well put it to some use. And by some use, I mean put myself out of money and not really gain any benefit out of it. So, again, like I said, at this point, money is not very useful. You might as well throw it away and see if you can't get anything more useful out of it. Yeah, I came to check the room out and I was like, well, it's just a regular brown treasure chest or whatever. Likelihood of getting anything good out of it is not as good as, you know, a gold chest or anything, so nope, screw it, not worth the risk. So we move on. We fight one of the womb bosses, the Skull X, which I honestly thought was going to be much more difficult than it turns out to be. Really, the green arcing shots are probably the most difficult thing to deal with. The red shot volley is not too bad, especially if you've got some movement or if you've got a lot of damage shielding and that kind of thing. You'll end up kind of negating most of it most of the time. But like I said, I've got a grotesque amount of speed, so I can generally just run around it when the game's not, you know, slowing down. And gotta finish it off the proper way with a dose of invincibility. So down to the Womb 2 level. Again, same thing we've already got going on. Just more womb enemies. Like I said earlier, though, we do have a lot more mini boss areas where, like the 7 Deadly Sin guys are down. I think I'll run into most of them. Well, not most of them, 2 or 3 in this floor, as well as a few mini bosses, or, you know, early game bosses show up again. kind of figured the best thing to do with this guy is just kind of take out one set of the heads and get the smaller ones gone as quick as you can, because really the smaller ones are the faster ones and they don't do any damage either outside of running into you, so might as well get rid of the faster threats first. It also probably helps not to run directly into guys, but I tend to do that sometimes. Another beggar. Unfortunately, we don't have any money, so it wouldn't be worth the trouble. Now you can tell in this room, you could actually, I could have just led that guy into the spikes a lot, and he probably would have died from just that alone, but I don't know. I was too busy actually dealing with the other problem to notice it at first, but if you've got irregular terrain in the room, you can actually use it to your advantage, that guy. Lust, not too difficult to deal with. You really just hit the kite around the room, just like the other guys, those red zombie dudes. Pick up the virus, which kind of lets you do a little bit of lingering damage after you run into an enemy. It can be alright, but it's not something to really rely heavily upon, because you still end up taking damage most of the time anyway. So we knew where the boss door is now, but like I said, it's always kind of beneficial to take advantage of what's on the floor. So we're gonna check out, make sure we find any items in the room that are in the floor itself, and see if there's anything we can put to use later on, or anything beneficial we might pick up from, you know, killing off mini bosses or clearing rooms out. Kind of really depends on how confident you feel in your abilities, whether or not you should just go and try to take on a boss and maybe not hurt yourself further. But I figured at this point, I thought I was pretty confident. I just figured, you know, hey, I'm gonna make sure I clear everything out to make sure I get any lingering items. course, sadly, so far they were mostly hearts, but now the two gluttonies in the room can be a bit more tricky, especially if you don't have the halo of flies to kind of protect you from the shots, because one will almost always love to alternate the 8-way shot when the other one is firing the laser. There is kind of a way you can kind of get them to both just trigger the laser, but you had to kind of get them facing you. If they're walking away, they will often more likely than not shoot the 8-way. And hey, the little devil, I believe this is Loki in earlier boss fights. He's not actually all that hard to defeat. You just kind of have to know the shot pattern he shoots out, and then take advantage of it when you can. And treasure chest with nothing of any real note. Again, keys are kind of worthless at this point, because I already have 99. It would be kind of hilarious to get one of those bombs or key pills at this point and kind of swap them around and just going batty with all the bombs, but we got enough hearts left behind that we can actually pick up a lot of the stuff as we go along and refresh myself back up to full for any of the damage that I'd taken. Again, peep, not too difficult in a large open room. I was tempted to use the horn right away, but I figured, I don't want to risk it just in case the other two rooms are too short or don't have any guides in them. Bombs, not terribly useful, but could be worse. Ooh, the laser eyes. Laser eyes, especially if you don't get used to them real early on, can be kind of a pain in the ass, because they're almost instantaneous once they lock onto you. You have a very short amount of time to get the hell out of the way. But hey, we do net a card out of it, so not a terrible loss of heart that we replaced already. I suppose that's one of the bonuses to having the Curse of the Vampire. Later on, bosses tend to I almost shoot myself there for a lot of damage. I probably would have hurt myself more had I not had the fly halo at the time, but a lot of the later bosses like to shoot out enemies, and killing them during the boss fight counts towards your Curse of the Vampire regen. So sometimes you can actually just benefit if you know the pattern well enough to kind of regenerate some health by just killing off enemies that they spit out. Generally, you'd be doing that anyway, but Curse of the Vampire can at least help you get some health back if you're low. And 4 coins, not worth taking the damage to get over to the beggar for, so I think we move on and let's go ahead and see if we can't tackle Mom's Heart. Mom's Heart actually, at least at this particular level, isn't any more difficult than Mom herself. The fight doesn't take too much. It's just a lot of kiting, taking care of enemies that spawn. Otherwise, the heart itself doesn't really seem to do any damage until later. So, at this point, we're literally just attacking it and then dealing with the enemies and moving on. I actually probably should have used the Empress card a little earlier, but I totally forgot. I tend to forget what the Empress cards, what the tarot cards are. Half the time, I'm like, oh yeah, that one gives me hearts, and then I will totally forget about that until some point later down the road, and I'll hold on to it for far too long. But it doesn't really hurt to at least hang on to something. I'm not at any risk, like, right this minute of dying, so it wasn't as if my use or not use of it, you know, got me killed here or anything. So sometimes I think that the Q items are a little bit more of an oh shit button, and I tend to use them that way. Or at least useful ones that are in that slot sometimes. Sometimes you get stuff that you just have to use and get rid of. Heart takes a lot of damage, and the fight is kind of slow, and I use the Magician real quick for whatever reason, just to kind of get it out of my inventory. I don't think it actually upgraded the shot damage at all at this point. It just kind of gives it that little curving motion thing. And then I figured I will toss the curse on top of it, which, again, I think it normally just ups your damage and speed and stuff, and I think I was already pretty topped out on those things, but at this point, I figured I might as well. I'll just kind of rub it in, put the horn to her. But I actually didn't kill her with it. Silly me, had I stuck to it a little bit longer. But kill is a kill. And we get some treasure out of it. And that's pretty much it for this particular run of Binding of Isaac. I might do a couple more, but like I said, these are very long. So the completion videos, not something I want to try to get people to sit through the entire thing, so just kind of showing off that I can actually complete a difficult game sometimes. Till next time, folks. Have a good one.